cured, dry aged, smoked, and everything in between. These are all methods of preserving meat that we as humans have used since time immemorial. True, there was a need to save for the lean times, but in the process we discovered that the meat went through a special and specific process that changed it, enhanced it, and transforms that initial piece of meat into something glorious. A whole new unique ingredient that we have never tasted before. We can blame dehydration, fermentation, and other mystical and alchemical processes, but regardless of the magic that went into it, we as humans fell in love with these new products and have respected the art of making these meats religiously for millennia. I'll stop being ambiguous for a second here and I'll get to the punchline. This video is about how to cure pork neck and transform it into a specialty product also known as copa, capocolo, chaffa, bondiola, and many other names depending on the culture that they were made in. If you've seen any of my other videos and you decided to come back for more, then I assume that you are finding some value in them. If that's the case, please bless me with your kindness by subscribing to the channel, as it helps me grow and become better. In return, I promise to bring you higher value content each time. Thank you very much. For me, this process started with building the salt box. Yes, I built the salt box because I'm a stickler for tradition and for actually experiencing the process of making it as much as enjoying the end product. How does that saying go? It's about the journey and not about the destination, or something like that. And in making cure meats, I totally and wholeheartedly agree with this saying. But build the salt box I did, and it wasn't anything fancy, just a simple box made out of wood with good drainage for any potential juices to drain out of the meat, and a very good lid that locked tight and kept any unwanted small or large visitors away. Not that they would love the insane amount of salt that the meat was in, but hey, better safe than sorry, right? Thank you for indulging me in a longer than normal intro. This topic is very near and dear to me, and honestly I can talk your ear off for weeks. But speaking about salt, the ingredients and the quantities for this recipe will be in the description of this video, but I will cover them as we go through the video, don't worry about it. I started with a 3 kilo piece of pork neck, as fresh and as juicy as they come. The key point here is the initial weight of the meat. Please do not proceed with this recipe forward until you write down that original weight of the meat. Write it somewhere safe where you can find the information easily later on. If you don't do this, you will not know when the product is done and or if it's safe to eat or not. So it's going to be a huge waste of time and money. That being said, the other mandatory ingredient is rock salt. And again, I won't go into my usual salt rant in this episode. Just go and watch any of my other videos for that. But just know that when you're curing meat, fermenting, pickling vegetables and fruits and so on, any process that involves safe and reliable long-lasting food preservation, you need rock salt, mine salt or sea salt. As natural and as close to nature as possible, because table salt and any other Frankenstein salts laden with chemicals won't work. And you're just wasting your time and money in vain. Please trust me on this. I want you to succeed and I want this recipe to be of use to you and not disappointment. And that pretty much covers our ingredient list. Meat and salt. Just 2 things. Not 4. 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. The process begins with adding enough salt in the salt box, large plastic container, glass or clay pot, as to fully cover the size of meat that you will work with. Notice that I didn't mention any metal or animal pots or containers, and this is because salt has the potential to leach nasty and toxic chemicals and elements into the meat through the curing process that may or will get you sick after that, or even spoil your batch. So either or, be careful with metal containers. After you prepare the salt, then nestle the piece of meat in the middle, making sure that there's at least 2 inches of salt underneath, and cover it under another 2 inches of salt. And I mean fully covered, no meat showing, everything under salt. regardless of what container type you're using. Put it away after that in a cold, dark place, like a fridge, a cellar, a pantry, a root cellar, for 4 days. This stage will dehydrate the meat and begin a light curing process that will give the finished piece of meat that unmistakable smell, flavor, aroma, the thing that we actually love and why we do these meat projects. Time flies when you're curing meat, and 4 days later we will take the meat out of the salt and soak it in fresh cold water for 2 hours. This step will remove the excess salt and allow the meat to retain exactly what it needs to go through the curing process. I won't lie, the major flavor factory for the specific product is a cold salt-driven fermentation. I'm telling you this now because I hope you are not put off by fermented meats. I know people who are, not too many. When the soaking stage is done, you can either air dry it in a cold place for 2 days, or if you want to save some time, you can paper towel dry it as well. I'm air drying mine in the smokehouse because the temperature outside is well below 0 Celsius. Next, we will wrap the meat in either a cheesecloth or a clean cotton cloth. Then, using butcher's twine, we want to tie it very tight, as tight as we can, because in the next stage, the meat will lose a lot of its mass, and to be specific, it will lose 33 to 35% of its weight. And speaking about curing and drying up, from this point, it will take 30 days for the meat to finish if kept in a cool, well-ventilated place. By cool, I mean a temperature between 0 and 12 Celsius, maximum 12 Celsius, or between 32 and 53 Fahrenheit. Initially, I keep my cured meats in this outdoor aging box, and after about a week, I move them into this contraption I DIY'd from a link that I found online. It's not my design, just something I saw somewhere, and that works. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to build yourself this drying box, and make sure to leave a hi and a thanks to the original builders in their own comments, because I find this contraption to be very, very useful in many curing and dry aging meat products. Like with most cured meats, you will know it's ready, safe and shelf stable once it has lost through dehydration 33 to 35% of its original weight. This is why I made such a big fuss in the beginning about writing down and keeping the information of the original meat weight. Now you know that I'm not crazy. I just want you to succeed and keep the torch lit for the next generation, so that they know that curing meats, making this amazing homemade products is a successful, worthwhile endeavor. I really don't want this art to disappear just because it's so easy to go and buy a very underwhelming alternative in grocery stores. Moving on, it's almost certain that your piece of meat will develop some white fuzzy mold throughout the curing process. Now don't panic. This is normal and it's actually desirable. Most likely is a strain of penicillium mold that the industry uses, and you know humanity has encouraged throughout its progress to create all kind of salamis. You walk into a meat shop, into a charcuterie shop, and you see all of these salamis hanging and they're coated into a white fuzzy mold. You want that. But if your meat has developed green or black mold, I'm sorry to say, but you need to waste that, because green or black mold is dangerous. It's toxic. It can make you very, very sick, you and your loved ones, or even worse. I don't want to scare you or anything, but just know that if it's light gray or white fuzzy mold, that's good. If it's dark green or black, stay away from it. That's it. End of story. We can move on. I won't let you hanging, and I'll explain why you may get green or black mold. And the reasons are: 1, temperature, so you need to make sure that you keep the curing process in between 0 and 12 Celsius. 2, you want to make sure that you have a well ventilated curing box environment. I don't know, some people even use wine coolers to do this. And 3rd, you want to make sure that you don't cure meats in a high moisture environment, because all of these things are conducive and encourage this green and black molds to basically digest your meat and make it unusable for yourself and your family. That being said, I pray that everything went well with your process, and now, just like me, you are uncovering this magnificent piece of meat and slicing into it with pride, joy, and watering mouth that can barely resist biting into the big chunk of meat. The smells alone will send everybody in your household into a frenzy of curious insanity and make them all run towards you like a pack of hungry hyenas, not knowing why, but just that they have to. Still, while filming this video, I didn't have a meat slicer at the moment, so I just used a very sharp knife to slice as thin slices as possible. Still good, but not perfect. These types of specialty meats are by default intended to season your life with their intense flavors, not to fill you up. They must be enjoyed sliced paper thin. So thin that you can actually see a better, more encouraging future through them, just like Debussy did many millennia ago. This product is fantastic and can be the centerpiece of a charcuterie board that will impress not only your guests and family members, but even your enemies. Heck, you can even make friends out of your enemies if you feed them this incredible cured meats. Enough said, I won't hype it anymore because it will become comical and lose its charm, and that would be a grave mistake on my part. Make it, cure it, take thine ease, eat and be merry. I hope this video got you excited about cured meats, about trying to make them and enjoy something special. And if you found this video useful and helpful, please like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you love what I do, becoming a member of the channel would be the ultimate thank you for me and the work that I put into this channel. I wish you all the best and happy adventures in the kitchen. See you next time.